starseeds and lightworkers, something inside you has known for a long time that the loneliness you carried was not a sign of being broken. It was something else entirely, something quieter, something with a purpose you could feel but not yet name. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius, and what I want you to hear right now is this: the years you spent feeling like too much, too deep, too different from everyone around you were not years wasted, they were years of preparation. By the end of this message, you will understand why the isolation found you, why certain people could not stay in your life, no matter how hard you tried to hold them there, and who the universe is now drawing into your field. Every starseed carrying Sirian codes goes through a season where the connections around them quietly dissolve. Not through conflict, not always through choice, but through a kind of natural falling away, like water finding its own level. What felt like rejection was actually refinement. The people who could not stay were not meant to stay. Your depth made that decision for you long before your mind could accept it. The heaviness of that solitude was real, but it was also a clearing. The tide was pulling back not to leave the shore bare, but to make room for what was coming in. You did not find this message because you were searching for comfort. You found it because something in you recognized the signal. Your soul knew it was time to understand what the silence was always trying to tell you. Stay with me. What comes next will answer questions you have been carrying far longer than you realize. And I am grateful you are here with me now. There's a reason the ones who couldn't stay didn't stay. It wasn't cruelty, not from them and not from you. It was the natural movement of water, finding its own level. When a river shifts its course, it doesn't carry every stone along with it. Some things are meant to stay behind, settled quietly at the bottom, while the current moves on towards something the water has always known how to find. That's what's been happening in your life. Not loss, not failure. A realignment so precise that only something far deeper than logic could have designed it. And if you sit with that truth long enough, really sit with it, the way you sit beside a body of water and let its rhythm slow your breathing, you begin to feel the difference between grief and release. Because grief says something was taken from you, but release says something was returned to its natural place so that you could return to yours. The people who departed were not errors in your story. They were chapters that completed themselves. And the ache of their absence, however real and however deep, is not evidence that you are broken or that something went wrong. It is evidence that you loved fully and were present completely. That is not a wound. That is a mark of someone who does not hold back, someone who came here to feel everything, not as a burden, but as a gift that very few souls are brave enough to carry. The river does not mourn the stones it leaves behind. It moves because moving is what it is. And you are the river. You have always been the river, not the stones, not the banks, not the still and shallow pools where nothing stirs. You are the current itself. And currents do not ask permission to flow. Some healing doesn't come through words. It comes through water. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Sirian water codes. This powerful guide carries sacred techniques channeled from the waters of Sirius, clearing baths, breathing practices, sound activations, and protection rituals designed specifically for starseeds, who have always felt called by the ocean. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. That ache you feel isn't emptiness, it's overflow. It's the pressure of carrying something immense in a world that doesn't yet have the language for what you are. Starseeds often mistake that pressure for unworthiness. They look around at how easily others seem to connect, how effortlessly certain people move through crowds and conversations and shallow spaces, and they wonder what is wrong with them. But nothing was ever wrong with you. Your depth was never a defect. It was the very thing that made it impossible for certain connections to survive your field. Low-frequency bonds don't break because you pushed people away. They dissolve because your energy naturally purifies what it moves through, and what isn't aligned with your true frequency simply cannot hold. Let that land for a moment, because so many of you have spent years, long, lonely, quietly devastating years, trying to understand why the connections that seemed so promising at the beginning would eventually falter, fade, or fracture entirely. You replayed conversations. You second-guessed yourself. You wondered if you were somehow fundamentally difficult to love, too complicated to be fully known, too sensitive to be truly held. And in that wondering, a story took root. A story that said, "The problem is me." But that story was never true. It was simply the only explanation available to a soul that hadn't yet understood what it was carrying. You were not pushing people away. You were being purified yourself, and everything that moved through your field was being touched by that purification. What couldn't withstand it wasn't weak. It was simply incompatible. And there is a profound difference between the two. Think of the ocean. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes. And at the greatest depths, the pressure is immense. But what forms there, slowly, in the dark, in the silence, is unlike anything found near the surface. You have been forming in that depth, and the isolation you endured was not punishment. It was gestation. Consider what the deep ocean actually holds. Not the sunlit surface with its warmth and familiar light, but the zones below, where human eyes have rarely traveled. In those crushing depths, creatures exist that carry their own light. Bioluminescent beings that do not wait for the sun to illuminate them, because they learned, long ago, how to generate radiance from within. That is what you have been doing. In the absence of external warmth, in the absence of easy community and effortless belonging, you have been slowly, quietly learning how to produce your own light. And the pressure that has felt so unbearable, the weight of all those years of solitude and searching, has not been destroying you. It has been forming you into something that does not need the surface anymore. Something that carries its own glow into every room it enters, into every conversation it begins, into every pair of eyes it meets. You are not a surface creature. You never were. And the sooner you stop trying to live as though you are, the sooner you discover what you're actually capable of in the places most people are too afraid to go. Things have felt unclear lately, like you're trying to see through deep water. That fog isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's what happens when old patterns begin to dissolve. The water has to get murky before it clears. You're not lost. You're in transition. And that takes tremendous courage, even when it doesn't feel like it. The people who left weren't taken from you carelessly. Their departure was the current doing what currents do, separating what belongs from what was only passing through. There is a particular kind of courage that almost never gets named, and it is the courage of continuing when you cannot see clearly. It is not the dramatic bravery of a single moment, not the sword raised in a storm, not the leap across a known distance. It is the quiet, stubborn, daily act of remaining open when every rational part of you is screaming to close, remaining soft when you have every reason to harden, remaining hopeful in the middle of a fog so thick you cannot see even a few steps ahead. That is the courage you have been practicing, and even if no one around you has recognized it or named it or honored it, it is one of the most extraordinary forms of strength a soul can demonstrate in a human life. The fog is not your enemy. It is the proof that something is in the process of changing. Water does not go murky for nothing. It goes murky because what was settled at the bottom has been disturbed, because something is shifting, because the sediment of old patterns is being stirred up before it is swept away entirely. What looks like confusion is actually the beginning of clarity. What feels like being lost is actually the final dissolving of a map that was never accurate to begin with. There's something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything you were taught in this life. A blueprint written in frequency, not in words, a set of codes your soul has been carrying since long before this lifetime began. The Sirian wisdom teachings, ancient even by the time the great structures rose from the sands of Egypt, spoke of this, that certain souls come to Earth carrying more than the world around them can immediately recognize. And so, those souls spend years, sometimes decades, in a kind of sacred isolation, not because they are forgotten, but because they are being prepared. The preparation is not pleasant. It is not meant to be. Pearls do not form in comfort. The Sirian lineage is one of water, of starlight refracted through ocean depths, of sound carried not through air, but through the conductive intelligence of a living sea. Those teachings understood something that the modern world has largely forgotten, that the greatest vessels require the longest formation, that a clay cup can be made in minutes, but a vessel worthy of holding something sacred takes time, intentional pressure, and fire. And even then, it is not the beauty of the vessel that matters most. It is what the vessel can hold without cracking, what it can carry without spilling. You have been in that kiln. You have been under that pressure. And every moment that felt like it was breaking you was actually the moment the integrity of your structure was being tested and confirmed. You did not break. You are here, and that means you are ready for what you were formed to carry. Think about the ancient temples built near the waters of the Nile, those sacred structures that aligned not just with the stars overhead, but with the flow of the river below. The priests who designed them understood that alignment is not accidental, that when a structure is built in perfect resonance with both the heavens and the earth, something extraordinary happens. It becomes a conduit. It doesn't just stand there. It channels. It transmits. It holds frequency in a way that ordinary structures cannot. You are not a casual dwelling. You are a temple under construction. And every experience that chiseled away at you, every relationship that passed through and left, every long night of questioning, those were not damage. They were architecture. They were the careful removal of what did not belong, so that what remains is perfectly suited to what is coming. This is where panic often sets in because nothing seems to be moving, but the stillness is not stalling. It's anchoring, like a river that pauses in a wide, calm pool before it finds the next passage through the mountains. Your soul is stabilizing what it has already received before it can hold what's coming next. The connections you are moving toward cannot enter a field that is still clearing. The frequency you've been holding alone, the one that felt like too much, too intense, too deep for the people around you, that frequency was never wrong. It was tuning. It was the signal being refined until it could call in what truly belongs. There is immense grace in that image, the wide, calm pool. It doesn't look like progress. It looks like stillness. It looks like delay. From the outside, you might even mistake it for stagnation. But the river has not stopped. It has widened. It has deepened. It has created a space of such profound quiet that its surface reflects the sky perfectly. And in that perfect reflection, something extraordinary becomes possible. The water begins to show you what is above, not just what is below. And that is what your soul has been doing in this still period. Not wasting time, not falling behind, widening, deepening, becoming capable of holding a reflection so clear and so true that what it calls in will be able to see itself in you, really see itself, perhaps for the first time. You are not a stagnant pond. You are a gathering of waters that has gone quiet enough to know its own direction. And the passage through the mountains is closer than you think. You may not see it yet, but people around you are already responding to the shift within you. Maybe relationships have changed. Maybe certain places or conversations feel different, heavier, or lighter than before. That's not coincidence. When one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected. You don't need to announce your transformation. You are already transmitting it, and those who are meant to resonate with your frequency will find you not because you searched desperately, but because you finally stopped shrinking yourself to fit spaces that were never meant to hold you. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to the subtle changes, the conversations that suddenly feel hollow, that once felt sustaining, the places that once felt like refuge, now feeling like they belong to a version of you that no longer quite fits. That discomfort is not regression. And while discomfort is never pleasant, there is a particular quality to this kind of discomfort that, if you're honest with yourself, carries a strange undercurrent of rightness. Like a coat you've worn for years that suddenly, one morning, sits wrong across the shoulders, not because the coat changed, but because you did. You don't need to force your way out of anything. You simply need to stop forcing your way in. The spaces that belong to you will feel like exhaling. The connections that belong to you will feel like finally being heard, in a language you forgot anyone else spoke. And they are coming. They are already on their way. The transmission you are broadcasting right now, in the quiet of your becoming, is already reaching them across whatever distance remains. This is the phase that asks the most of you, because it asks you to release what you've been carrying so long it feels like identity. The belief that your depth is a burden. The story that you are too much. The quiet conviction, settled in from years of being misunderstood, that maybe it would be easier to simply be less. You have permission to set all of it down. Every expectation placed on you by a world that didn't have the vocabulary for what you are. Every relationship that required you to make yourself smaller, to survive it. The river doesn't carry every stone it passes. It lets them sink and keeps flowing. This is the hardest part. Not because the weight is the heaviest it's ever been, but because it's been with you for so long that you've stopped feeling it as weight and started feeling it as self. The story of being too much has been so thoroughly integrated that letting it go feels, in some strange and paradoxical way, like losing yourself. But what you would actually be losing is the cage, and the self that has been living inside that cage, that compressed, careful, apologetic version of you, that learned to take up less space, that is not your true self. That is your survival self. That is the adaptive intelligence of a soul that figured out how to persist in an environment that could not yet hold its fullness. And it served you. You do not need to be ashamed of it. But you do not need to keep carrying it into the life that is being prepared for you. Because that life was built for the version of you that is emerging now. The uncompressed, undiminished, full-frequency version that doesn't apologize for taking up exactly as much space as it was always meant to occupy. You are not late. You are not behind. The years of not understanding what you were feeling, none of it was wasted. There is no such thing as a late awakening. There is only the perfect moment, and yours is unfolding right now, in real time, with a precision that would astonish you if you could see the whole pattern from above. The tide doesn't rush. It doesn't apologize for arriving when it arrives, but it always arrives, and it always reshapes the shore. Think about what the tide actually does to a shoreline over time. It does not arrive once and transform it in a single dramatic gesture. It arrives again and again and again, in a rhythm so patient and so consistent that the shore has no choice but to yield. Not because it is forced, but because the repetition of that gentle, the persistent contact gradually wears away what is hard and reveals what is beautiful underneath. The tide is not aggressive, it is certain, and your awakening has that same quality, that same patient certainty that does not require dramatic proof, because it knows, at a level deeper than thought, that it is already underway. Every moment of doubt was the tide pulling back. Every moment of clarity was the tide returning. And the shore of your soul has been shaped by every single one of those arrivals, whether you felt them consciously or not. Your mission was never about doing something extraordinary by the world's standards. It was about being present fully, authentically present in a way that only a soul with your specific codes can be. The ancient ones who built the temples by the Nile understood this. The most powerful act is not the grand gesture, but the quiet alignment of a soul with its true frequency. The one who is meant to meet you in that frequency isn't looking for someone who has it all figured out. They are looking for someone real, someone whose depth matches their own, someone who has survived the dissolving of everything false and still remained. There is something to be said about what survives dissolution. When a solution is heated until everything impure burns away, what remains is not diminished, it is concentrated. It is more purely itself than it was before the heat. You have been through that process. Everything that was false about your sense of self, every performance, every mask, every carefully crafted presentation designed to make you more palatable to a world that found your realness unsettling. All of it has been, or is being, dissolved. And what remains? What cannot be dissolved because it is not constructed but essential. That is the gift you carry. That is what the one coming toward you will recognize. Not your perfection, not your certainty, your realness, your depth, the unmistakable quality of someone who has gone all the way down and come back with something true. That's you. That's what all of this has been building toward. Let that sentence hold its weight for a moment. Because it is easy to hear it and let it slide past, cataloged alongside all the other encouraging things people have said to you over the years. But this is different. This isn't encouragement offered to make you feel better in a difficult moment. What all of this? Every departure, every fog, every long night of questioning, every moment of crushing stillness, what all of this has been constructing is you. The real you. The one that cannot be diminished or denied or dismissed. And that version of you is not something you need to go find or create or earn through further suffering. It is what you are right now, in this moment, having survived everything that tried to convince you otherwise. You're not lost. You never were. You chose to forget not because you were weak, but because the kind of remembering you're here to experience required you to find your way back from the deepest depth. Every moment of confusion was the water working on you, smoothing away what didn't belong, revealing what was always there underneath. You are not here to fit into this world. You're here to gently, quietly, powerfully reminded of something it forgot. And the one who is being drawn into your field, the one whose frequency has been traveling toward yours across all the distance that separated you, they are part of that reminder too. You will recognize each other not by what you say, but by how it feels. Like water, recognizing water. Like something long, turbulent, becoming, finally, still. There are moments in nature when two bodies of water merge, when a tributary finally reaches the river it has been moving toward. sometimes across vast distances and strange terrains, and the moment of joining is almost imperceptible to the untrained eye. There is no great explosion, no dramatic collision. There is simply the quiet, irresistible flowing together of two currents that were always meant to be one. That is how it will feel. Not like fireworks. Like coming home to a house you didn't know you remembered, where every room is familiar and every corner holds something you forgot you loved. And in that meeting, something more than connection will occur. A remembering will happen on both sides. A recognition that moves beneath the surface of names and faces and histories all the way down into the frequency where your true selves have always already known each other. The waters within you are clearing. What was murky is beginning to settle, and what is settling is making room not just for connection, but for the kind of presence that changes everything it touches. Consider the image of water that has finally settled after long disturbance. When sediment sinks and the water above grows clear, it doesn't just become transparent, it becomes a mirror. And a mirror doesn't only show you what's in front of it. A still body of water, perfectly clear, reflects the stars. It reaches upward even as it sits in the earth, holding the image of things vast and luminous and seemingly unreachable. That is what your clarity is becoming. Not just a clearing of what was muddy, but an opening to what is above, a channel between what is earthly and what is cosmic, between what you are in this incarnation and what you have always been across the expanse of your soul's long journey. The stillness within you is not emptiness. It is a perfect mirror, and what it is beginning to reflect will take your breath away. Tonight, if it feels right, place your hand over your heart and say quietly, "I am not too much. I never was. I am exactly the frequency I was meant to be, and I am ready to let what belongs find me." Let that practice be more than words. Let it be an act of deliberate self-recognition. The hand on the heart is not a gesture. It is a signal. It is the body telling the soul, "I am paying attention. I am here. I am listening to what is true about me, not what fear has constructed." And the soul, which has been waiting patiently beneath all the noise and all the doubt, will respond to that signal. It always does. It is incapable of not responding to genuine acknowledgement. So, if you speak those words tonight, if you press your palm against the center of your chest and feel your own heartbeat beneath your hand, steady and persistent as the tide, something in you will shift. Not dramatically, not loudly, but genuinely. Like a lock that has been waiting for the right key, and the key was always yours to begin with. Leave one word in the comments, just one that describes what you felt during this message. Then, find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. This isn't just a comment section. It's a space where starseeds recognize each other. And that recognition carries more power than you know. If something in this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep receiving these transmissions, subscribe. The waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering. This is your space. And I'm grateful you were here.